How are you?
All good, thank you. Let me just share the tweet real quick for the space.
Perfect, Dan. I just sent you another one. Another like Hey, there you are.
Hey, how are you, Jordan?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to hear your voice.
Yeah, you too. When I heard that Miguel got you for this, I was like, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I'm
yes.
excited. I'm excited to chat. I've been held up in an office. I feel like with my head in my computer, so I feel a bit out of sync with everyone.
Really? I
Yeah.
think. Oh, that's interesting. I think I feel really out of sync because the space moves so fast.
For
So
sure.
even though like I'm paying attention, it still feels like I'm always like trying to catch up. I feel like I'm always sending Miguel messages like, "Do you think we could just talk?" 'Cause I'm like, I need to catch up.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Super psyched that you're here. So this is Mondays with Miguel. I'm gonna do a quick set on the room since people are showing up, and I'll do it a couple times and then hand it over to Miguel because this is his day. Um, but welcome, you guys. I see a lot of new faces here, new avatars. This is the NFT Film Squad, and hey, and we've been chopping it up for a year now on Wednesdays. Started on Clubhouse and moved over to Spaces. Gosh, I feel like it's been about 6 months. Um, and yeah, we have been, you know, trailblazing this ecosystem. The original intent was to find other filmmakers because when I first got here in in the NFT scene in December 2020, I didn't see anyone, and so um, when I started running rooms in Clubhouse, eventually I met a couple, and we started the Film Squad. And the exciting part is the last few months, it's just been growing exponentially. So a lot of the filmmakers who started coming in and building out the squad, a year ago, they are doing amazing things. And so we now have Mondays with Miguel, which are always really wonderful. And we also have Saturday matinees with Jason Charnick because this space is moving so quickly and there's so many of us and there's so much information that we can help one another with, and so it's been very exciting. And as I was just mentioning, also you kind of feel like it's hard to stay ahead of the curve a little bit. But anyhow, we have a Discord. It'd be great if you wanted to join the community. We've been growing little by little, and it's a great place to to tell each other about our projects. The other day, we went and saw Film Freako's short film at Beam, which was a lot of fun to be able to show up for another community member. So anyway, I think that's it for now. I will do another reset in maybe 15 minutes. But Miguel, I'm gonna hand it over to you.
Hi, Jordan. Thank you, GM, everyone. Thank you for coming. I want to echo Jordan's point that this space moving so quickly, and yeah, things are really starting to heat up for film NFTs. And in that vein, I'm super excited to welcome Dan Sickles here today because I'm super excited to hear about his project. For those of you who don't know him, Dan is an American indie filmmaker who works in New York and who's had a very successful career with a documentary that won the big award in Sundance a few years ago. And he's my brother filmmaker CryptoPunk, which there aren't many of us, so that's also funny. And yeah, I'm super excited to hear about what he's working on because I know he has a kick-ass documentary project about the space and within the space, and that's super excited to hear. So Dan, welcome. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. GM, everybody. Thank you first, like Miguel, for having me, and Jordan for everything that you do. Putting together like the NFT Film Squad Discord, is like such an important first step to creating space where people can come and talk about how we can use this new technology to further collaborative artistic efforts. So thank you guys for having me. And yeah, I'm excited to chat. It's going to be a bit of an interesting chat. I'll sort of like contextualize what's about to happen that way. um, I'm in the middle of working on a nonfiction film about the crypto art and NFT scene. It's been in development for about the past 9 months. And yeah, we started production back in November during NFT NYC. And since, we haven't been filming so much over the past month, we've mostly been sort of building out our archive and planning our next steps. And production is picking up again in early March. So, that's all to say, like, I'm very much in the middle of the ocean in figuring out like what this film is and how it feels and how it moves. So yeah, my thoughts today might be a bit half baked. So so I apologize for that, but I'm very much in the middle of my process of figuring out what this film's going to be. But I'm very happy to chat with you guys today. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming. And so tell us a bit more what the production is looking like at the moment in terms of timeline, and also you said you're gonna go back to shooting some more. So because I know you've shot a lot already, so I'm curious what are you planning? What more are you planning on shooting in the coming weeks or months?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. The timeline, is still something that's being negotiated. Basically, like, I'm not really making it very easy on my producers and my future editor in that, like, I'm really trying to include as many different voices within the space as possible. So, like, we have a working list of about 230 names right now that we're trying to triangulate somewhere on the planet at the same time as much as possible, so I can sort of corral all these voices and subjects into one space, and then we can have a bit of an interview with them. Um, so that's one way that I'm attacking things. I started this in last November was our first shoot for about 10 days during NFT NYC, and that was mostly me going fishing. I knew a bunch of people in the space, and sort of really working to figure out more or less what it was looking like and what it was shaping up to be. To then help me understand which way to move. So that first week included people. I mean, I shouldn't necessarily say all of the people that are included yet, because we're going to be teasing out our cast. But I mean, for here, it's like we interview people like Fuck Render and Claire Silver and G Money, and Video Game Freak VGF, who I love. I brought in Jasty, if you guys know him. He's like this brilliant. I think he's 16. He just turned 16 years old. I brought in his mother actually to talk about the experience of raising a kid who's 16 and just blowing up in this like new emergent art scene. Um, so it was a really, really diverse group of people that I brought in, and there were about 25 different interviews that I did over the course of those 10 days. And then I spent a lot of time sitting with those interviews and doing more research and, like, trying to poke holes in the argument that I was building as I'm building it, and really working to then fill out these other voices that I realized, and I'm still realizing, that I'm missing. So that's sort of where my work lies right now. Parallel to that, like, there are very specific artists within the space that I'm working with to capture more of an arc, to give them more a bit more air within the film, and so that we get to have a real experience with them. And those people, that they're incredible. I'll be announcing them like within the next few weeks. Um, but yeah, I mean, the experience so far has been overwhelming, to say the least. What's amazing about this space is that, like, there's no one thing that it is, and what I've seen is that so many different people are bringing like their own particular flavor and their own philosophy to this technology, and it's been an unbelievable experience, like working with them to articulate what that is. It's been very motivating for me to, like, know that we're surrounded by, like, these brilliant minds who are thinking about this space in a very different way than we are, and that's what makes it so exciting and a really wonderful place to be working in right now.
Yeah, thank you. And so I mean, I don't want to be too insistent, but is there any way that you could give us like an estimate date as to when do you think the film is gonna go out there?
Yeah, I mean, I can, like, sort of theorize, right? I think ideally by, like, next spring we'll really have, like, something that we can be sharing and that can be distributed. Um,
Okay.
right now I'm, like, very much figuring out, like, these animation sequences that I'd like to do with specific people in the community. and specific avatars. And as you know, like all of those sequences take a bit more time. Like they have harder timelines than like me doing sort of like investigative journalism work or trying to find specific voices to fill out specific parts of this narrative. So those are the things actually that like I'm meeting with my team really this week, and you know, groups of animators and VFX artists to look at those timelines and put that together. But yeah, ideally by next spring the film will be living somewhere.
It's a massive project. And so one question that I have, because it's so massive and you're interviewing so many people, and also because the space moves so fast, aren't you worried about the fact that you can't sort of close in a moment and say, okay, it's a picture of how the space was until this date, and that's it, right?
Yeah,
We can't keep updating. How are you
definitely.
tackling that issue?
Yes, yeah, like yes and no. I think like part of my realization after NFT NYC, in a really big way, was the understanding that like this space existed, you know, for years before a lot of us showed up in 2021, myself included. And I think part of my work and part of what's going to make the film substantial is to really like look back at the people who built this space, who like really like were like laying like foundational blocks, and the ground that like even us in like this conversation right now is standing on. And that crew hasn't changed. Like that community, like they're still around. And um, what I've learned too is that like a lot of them don't necessarily live on Twitter. A lot of them aren't hanging out on Twitter Spaces. A lot of them aren't in a million Discord servers. So my efforts right now are like really working within those specific communities within this larger community to gain that access and that trust. Um, and you know, I've been making nonfiction films for over a decade now, and often it is those groups within, you know, these sort of fringe communities that are the hardest to reach. They have the most to protect, right?
Yeah,
But something I'm learning is like the conversations that we're having now are the same conversations that they were having, you know, back in 2015, you know, to 2017, and then like winter hit, and they were dealing with that, and you know, like there's all of this context that like actually places 2021 in a very specific way. And I think, you know, working with a lot of the people who have been here since years to help us contextualize what 2021 was and what 2022 is, I think can also help us understand how to make better choices for the future of the space. Right?
yeah,
I think that like it's so noisy right now, and articulating the stakes of what's worth to protect is like literally that's the thing that I'm tied up most in right now with the film.
hmm,
Right? How can we make sure that this space isn't co-opted, and that conversation doesn't really start in 2021.
mm,
It starts with Bitcoin, even, you know, it starts with like Satoshi and Satoshi's writing.
yeah,
Um, so that's really how I'm working it, because it's like, yeah, of course, like there's going to be another like hot project, and I hope that there is. I hope there's a million hot projects that like also will force this narrative to be updated. You know, that's what I hope with all my work, right? Like you, especially nonfiction. Like it's like you make a project, and like you hope that like in 10 years, someone is making the project with the updated politics and the updated ideology about, you know, what that film was or is. You know.
yeah.
Um, Yeah, which is also
Because
something that you and I have spoken a bit about, like, you know, in terms of this project, and something that I'm talking to my team with about, you know, how we can take this footage and sort of how we can make it livable, you know, how we can potentially like put it in a situation where it can be open sourced after a certain amount of time, and like we can invite other people to like use what was shot now and here, and like make a new film, like make a better documentary, make the updated version, you know what I mean?
yeah,
To sort of lay it out there in that way, and that's what I'm excited about. And that's how I think Web3 can also work with nonfiction, right? To keep these archives livable in that way.
hmm, yeah. There's so many follow-up questions that come to my mind, and everything you're saying is so exciting and inspiring. One thing that I was thinking, the first, like your point about how we can keep the space from being co-opted, I think is a great point and a great thing that a lot of us wonder about. I'm kind of pessimistic, to be honest, about that, because I'm so optimistic on the technology that I'm pessimistic on the fact that we can keep this space, you know, in any way similar to what it is now, just because I know that this is like day one of a technology that is gonna change the world for years to come, right? So
Mhm.
that just makes me feel like if only 1% of the people who will own an NFT in 5 years are now in the space, then it's impossible for us to imagine how the space is going, because the space is going to be the world in 5 years. It's my opinion. Right now we call it the space because it's a group of us, and there might be 10,000 or 30,000 of us who are like active in the space, or like 100,000, whatever you want to say.
Right.
But if in 5 years that's going to look like 2 billion, then how can we have any incline of knowing how that's going to look like,
Yeah,
right,
man.
as a community?
No, I mean, like that's the work, right? I mean, it's sort of like, I mean, it is very sort of kind of meta what we're talking about, right? Because I think a lot of that does lie in the narrativizing and mythologizing of the space, right? A film wasn't necessarily required 4 years ago to explain what was happening here because it was the same 300 people chatting on the same Discord in a way, right?
Yeah.
Like those numbers are wrong, but like it's like it was a smaller group. It was a community, and now it is expanding in this way. And I think like you and I agree for sure that like the tech is powerful. It's like more powerful than the tech that exists now. So it can be used for all different kinds of things, and we've seen that it's been used for all different kinds of things, like both kind of quantifiably good and bad. I think like what we need to do is like storytellers and people who have spent a bit of time in the space and who are really crawling down into the depths of it, is to then come back up for air and really work hard to articulate like, hey, this is what's going on here authentically, and like these are the positive things about it, and here are the interesting and inclusive and mutually beneficial ways that like it can be used, and like those choices are available to you, right? I mean, like we can always choose the opposite, and you can take advantage of people and you can scam them, and that's really easy, and that will continue to happen. But showing how it works and illuminating how it can work on the other side, I think that's really where the work lies right now specifically.
Can I jump in 1 second? Just
Yeah.
on your point. It reminds me of, because I'd gotten into crypto before, like around 2015, and it reminds me of in 2017, I had been in conversation and in fact had, uh, signed contract with Charlie Lee from Litecoin, and I might have told you this, and I was to do a documentary. Now, I would never say I was a nonfiction person, but the absolute power of what I was seeing in the movement in cryptocurrency, and of course, especially in 2017 when it was really taking off, I just felt like we needed a way to document it, and I thought Litecoin was an exciting way, especially because Charlie was so accessible to everyone. And what I did find was that there was a real lack of vision for them to see how we as filmmakers or storytellers or people who did media. I mean, I even spoke at Mallorca blockchain conference about harnessing the power of the media for cryptocurrency, so that we could just take this into people's living rooms, like via Netflix or Hulu or whatever. It also reminds me of when Art Gnome in 2017 was talking about what they called CryptoArt, I think, at the time. And when I get reminded of these moments when I
Exactly.
hear,
The Rare Arts Festival,
yeah,
and the people who are running Dada, like reaching out to all of them, like Judy Mann. I mean, Jason Bailey, for people who aren't following Art Gnome, like,
oh yeah,
who are interested in NFTs, you absolutely should be checking out Jason Bailey and anything he writes. And Right Click Save is probably the best place to be reading, critical thought as to what's happening in the crypto art scene. So for me, that's where a lot of work, my work lies right now, is reaching back out to these guys, and Joe Looney, like with the Rare Pepes, and getting into what happened before the hype came, and I think to not commit to it, but I think that like unfortunately we're gonna have to like look at 2021 as the beginning of a potential flattening, of a slight flattening, and I don't think that it's a bad thing, but I think that happens when any space widens, right?
Yeah, definitely. And Dan, can you speak a bit? I don't know how much you can speak of that, but can you speak a bit about how you're incorporating Web3 as well into the fundraising side of things, or if not, then that's okay.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's going to be like launching in a few weeks. I see that John Rogers is actually on here, so giving him a shout out. We've been working with John and Block, which is it's a great company, Web3 company in the space, created by Kai Turner, who goes by Kai Gani online. And we've been in conversations with lawyers for like, I want to say like 5 months, as to like what is the best and smoothest way that we can use Web3 to fundraise in a responsible and buttoned up legally way. So what we're going to be doing is like we're partnering with a company called Republic, that is a securities broker. And essentially, we're going to be offering securities. People can go on and support the film. It will be through credit card, and they'll receive crypto tokens that are essentially they're related to fractionalized rights to the film. And basically, when the film makes a profit, when it gets paid out, those coin holders will be part of the waterfall in perpetuity. So that's how we're building it. It's a bit different than sort of going like the NFT route and offering a piece of crypto art as a fundraise. Um, but yeah, like this was the decision that we arrived at for a whole bunch of different reasons, which I can go into if you think that that's interesting.
I definitely think that's interesting because we've been able to listen to Miguel talk about how he's rolling out his feature film, and Julie Pacino, and then of course Jennifer Esposito chose to use securities, and I'm not sure how successful that was for her, but it's a very interesting conversation. And if you'll hold one moment on that thought, I just want to reset the room for some of the people who just got here, and I'll do it really quickly. But I really want to dive deep into that with you. Um, Welcome to all the new avatars I see in here. We're the NFT Film Squad, and we've been meeting for a year on Wednesdays, and creating community and building community, and finding ways that we can trailblaze this ecosystem and support one another, and help one another figure out where we fit here, or basically create a new world for filmmakers in the Web3 system. We have a Discord. You can join that. It's in my link tree. We also obviously have Mondays with Miguel. That feels wonderful to have Miguel as a part of the NFT Filmmaker Squad team, and we are so excited with his drop that's coming March 2nd. And then we have Saturday Matinee with Jason Charnick, who's been a member of the squad for almost a year. And yeah, I'm going to hand it back to Miguel, but really excited that Dan Sickles is here. Been wanting to hear about your project in more in depth, Dan, for a while. And so I will back away from the mic.
Thank you, Jordan. So we were getting into sort of the decision making round, fundraising strategy for the film. And like for me, like there are quite a few options to go about this nowadays. Unfortunately, like if you're fundraising in the United States, it seems as though the laws are a bit, I mean, they are archaic for when it comes to crowdfunding, especially relational to what we can do with crypto, and within the community. So that point is sort of the number one point going into any sort of fundraising, I think. Um, for me, I mean, like the two sort of main roads are essentially offering a security right now, from what I've seen, um, or funding it through NFTs. There is also obviously like the nonprofit arm as well. Teaming up with like a nonprofit organization in the United States, a 501(c)(3), and setting them up with a crypto wallet, and finding people within the community that want that sweet tax write-off, and getting them to donate to your project through a 501(c)(3). That's a great way of doing things, and like that's how that's how grants work in the United States. And there are a lot of people, I'd say, within the space who are willing to go that route. So in reference to the other two, I think something for someone like Miguel, who is fundraising, using NFTs and art. For me, I think that makes so much sense. It's sort of it's similar to the model that Bright Moments Gallery uses as well, for their Crypto Citizens launch, and it's brilliant. And Julie Pacino also did something similar with her photography, in order to fundraise for her film. And that was something that I thought about for a while myself. But then, like, really considering like the genre that I'm working in, and I'm a very process oriented director, right? So especially a space like this, I feel like it's sort of it's not my place right away to sort of come in and be prescriptive about what I think is going on in the crypto sphere, right? Especially knowing how wide it is. So I sort of like to kind of observe and listen for a very long time before like I sort of give myself permission to even pretend like I understand, what's going on here, or what it looks like, or what a film about the space should look like, or how it should move, or how it should feel, or what it should do. So in that, like and in that thinking, I was kind of like, I don't know that I can really offer an image or an art piece that I can say is absolutely representative of the film, that I would want someone to buy at this point and be like, cool, like this equals a piece of this project. And for that reason, we sort of started looking the other way towards a more formalized securities route. Which, to be honest, I think that like there's a bit of education that I think we're excited to do with people not in the crypto space. Our announcements are going to be going very wide once we start to make them about this film, and the hope there is that we can find people who don't necessarily have a crypto wallet, but definitely have a credit card, and who are interested in investing in something in the Web3 space, right? And offering them a seamless way to kind of onboard them into the space, right? So they can go on Republic, pull out their credit card, donate $100, and those will become coins. And then in that, like we can actually start to talk to people outside of the crypto community about what those coins equate to, how they could potentially trade them, and that's really where I think a lot of the onboarding can happen. So, I can't say that I'm like completely satisfied with like the legal limitations that are put in place right now. I'm definitely like looking at it as a silver lining kind of opportunity. Um, but right now, it really seems as though the most buttoned up, kind of safest way to say like, hey, you can invest in this project and potentially earn a return means offering securities. And in learning about them, I mean, you really like learn how this United States works in terms of crowdfunding and securities. Like you need to be an accredited investor in order to invest in certain opportunities, which, excludes certain classes of people. So it's interesting to think about that the riskier investments with the potential highest return are just not available to most people. And trying to work around those rules to be like, hey, well, we want anybody to be able to give whatever they want to give in order to participate in this project if they want to, and that's really the thing that matters. So in that, this is the way that we've developed. It's cost prohibitive also, if I'm to be honest. Like it's still expensive to fundraise this way. But I do know that there are quite a few people working on changing policy, but then also coming up with platforms that do this a bit more seamlessly.
Yeah, you bring up some great points, Dan, and also especially about the fact that a model like what we are doing with TriBeCa, which is a more traditional crowdfunding model via NFTs. I agree with you that that only makes sense if the process allows for you to be able to sell NFTs that you can defend on their own, right? As art.
Right.
Because otherwise, if you're just selling like a token that's a placeholder, then you're not so far from a Kickstarter sending you your backers a shitty T-shirt, right? And then you're not really utilizing Web3. Then another question that I had is, so what's the element of Web3 that your securities funding has, is, if any? Because otherwise, it's like I'm just trying to think: is it essentially the same thing as what like Jim Cummings did with the beta test, which is a crowd equity campaign where they were selling shares of the film, or is your thing going through cryptocurrencies or has any element of Web3?
Well, the tokens that you're dropped for your support will be a crypto token.
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
And so those will also, unlock access to a Discord and a DAO. So there are going to be certain decisions that like we're going to be making as a group along the way that are mostly going to be tied up in the fun of celebrating the film. And I think that there's also a lot of opportunity for us to like launch projects from the film. And like that's something that we're always thinking about and excited to sort of explore further down the road. And that's all those are the things that we would want a community around us to sort of help for us to decide.
It's great. Yeah, I feel like in a way our model is like the Web3 version of crowdfunding, and your model is the Web3 version of crowd equity. So
I like that.
It's exciting to see different models and different ways to. And my last question is: do you have a limit to either a limit of how many investors you can have, or a limit of the minimum contribution that you can request?
The minimum is a good question. I'm not sure on that. I do know that we've chosen to go this route. It's called Reg CF. I believe the way that works that there is no minimum, but I have to double check because there's also Reg D, and then like there's all these other sort of like classifications of those like securities regulations.
Yeah. And is there a maximum of backers?
There is no maximum of backers. No.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, like for anybody who's interested, I would definitely check out Republic. I would also check out a company called Fairmint, which is building something similar. But there are quite a few people who are, working to sort of make widgets that can be put on, a web page that can help people fundraise for collaborative arts projects. And to me, that's what's most exciting.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Kelly, I see you have your hand up. Did you have a question for Dan?
Hi, yes. Hi, Miguel. Hi, Jordan. Hi there. Hi, Dan.
Hello.
Hey, thanks so much for having this room, and this is a great conversation. Yeah, I'm really curious as to, as kind of a beginner understanding the token model, I'm curious as to how the buy into funding the film through credit card would then translate to a token holder, and then what type of token would it be, or could the funder choose a different type of cryptocurrency? Kind of a little more around the details of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So, what's cool is that anybody can create a cryptocurrency. It does require a dev and a bit of knowledge for that. I wouldn't trust myself like to create a cryptocurrency. I could probably make like the Dan coin with like 10 coins or something. But I would probably need some help to do that. With this, basically, like you would give your credit card information through Republic, and then let's say one Nifty Film coin equals $1, right, for your support. So then for each dollar that you put in, an equal amount would then be put into your wallet through Republic. So $100 equals, let's say, 100 Nifty Film coins. So then those coins would exist in your account on Republic. I think the option is then you can also withdraw them and like put them in your Ethereum wallet. But you essentially hold on to those coins. There's a lockup period, technically, that you're not really supposed to buy or sell them. In the world of crypto, those decisions are obviously more open for individuals to make. But the idea is that you hold on to these tokens, and those tokens are representative of your proportional ownership of the rights to the film. So that once money starts coming through, as long as you're holding those coins, then you'll be paid out proportionally to the amount of coins that you own. Does that make a bit more sense?
That does, and then that brings me to my next question, and that would be: so then, do we as a filmmaker use the cryptocurrency to fund our film through Republic, or are we using fiat? And how is that model been decided?
So Republic will pay out through fiat currency, so it will go into a bank account. There's options, to then obviously convert that into like USDC, and like those are things that we're exploring for different accounting services that can handle both fiat and crypto, which obviously gets a bit complicated. I think for me right now, who I'm not getting too crazy about what we're doing with like the actual money in cryptocurrency that's set aside for the film. We're keeping that in USDC. Obviously, like there's ways of creating a bit of interest on that. But that's how we're managing things right now. There are a few accounting services too, specifically built for film, that can help you sort of navigate holding Ethereum and USDC and other currencies and paying people out using them. But we're not getting there just yet.
Yeah, that's a great point, and something that we've also had to consider with TriBeCa, right? Because if we are raising over $1 million in ETH over a period of a few weeks, then of course we have to pay the film in fiat. So it's probably safer and more fair to our backers to exchange that ETH, in the.
Oh, can you guys hear me?
I think Miguel got rough.
Miguel?
Did I get
Oh, okay, that's it.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're back.
You got. Oh yeah, no, I'm around.
No,
Are you there, Miguel?
I'm here, yeah.
Go back a couple sentences.
Oh, okay. I was
I
just
think
saying that.
you're talking about making the judgment call between converting ETH to USDC or another cryptocurrency, right?
Yeah, well, basically, I think we need to convert to stables as soon as possible, and as smartly as possible, right? Because imagine in our case for Calladita, we sell out, we have enough ETH to make the film, but then that night ETH tanks, and suddenly we don't have enough USD to make the film. That would be like running our contributors, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, those considerations are a bit hard, right? And I mean, I don't want to, I would be the last person who should be plugging any sort of protocols, but I think that there are some considerations to make in terms of like what you can do with USDC and maybe like put a bit of it aside and have some interest that is accruing on that crypto. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a hard thing, right? Because it's like you're sitting with all of these funds, and you might know what a decent bet is, but you actually need those funds in order to be producing the
Yeah,
picture.
yeah. In
You
our
know,
That,
case,
can I jump in, because
of
it,
course.
it feels like, I think, Miguel, you're right, and that, like, my thing is, if you're going to raise the funds through NFT, and it comes to Ethereum to convert like immediately to DAI. That's what I did when I was sent for red flags, right? So there was fiat on the upfront, and I didn't want it to be volatile at all, because I knew I needed to use it for production. And also, there's in the US anyway, there's a capital gains issue there. So by stabilizing that, I also didn't have to worry as much about, when I started to spin that, what my capital gains would be. If that makes any sense.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
that's like that's there's like the variables there that we need to. We're kind of like mutual fund holders on some level, or I don't, for lack of a better word, but yeah, we need to know when to convert, when to hold, how to grow it, if it's possible to grow it. So that's cool. Probably working with Republic
Yeah,
to
Republic. Yeah.
yeah, Republic to kind of help to gauge some of that, but it's a bit of a gamble too at the same time. But anyway, it's very interesting because here we are on this new frontier, trying to just kind of create some new ways. So keep us. How can we stay on in touch with you and just to track what's going on and how you're doing this, Dan?
Yeah, I think at the top of here is posted the film's Twitter account is at Nifty the Film. And like I think all of our DMs are open. We will be opening our Discord soon. Also, we're just sort of like making sure it's all kind of tidy and organized for when everyone arrives. And then yeah, like if there are specific questions, like I'm very easily accessible on purpose. It's like a really overwhelming space. Clearly like there's so many options, and like there's so many decisions to make if you're gonna use this space and this tech to raise money or to create an art project. So I'm always happy to sort of chat through DMs or whatever and connect people with other people who I think might be more helpful. Um, for example, like G Money is like somebody that I specifically reached out to with this question of just like, hey, like converting things, like what do you think? Like, should we be holding them in ETH? Should we be, whatever? And yeah, it's like Miguel is saying, like once you raise the money, I mean, you convert it so that you have the money to make the project that you're supposed to be making. Um, but yeah, there are some like options as to like how you can accrue interest. And I mean, for those, one space that I will plug, I guess, is like the Defiant. I think is a really decent resource that talks a lot about like how you can earn the best yield on stable coins. And I think that there are some less degen ways to earn a decent return on stables. So it's always interesting to have a project if you know that you're not going to touch that cash for 5 months, that you can sort of sit there and yeah, maybe make you a bit more.
Yeah, 100%. That's interesting as well. Like in our case, there's even further complications, because I don't know how this works in the States, but in Spain, our sales of NFTs are essentially counted as sale of any other goods, so we need to pay VAT. So a percentage of the sales is going to VAT, and so that for sure we have to convert as soon as possible to stables.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, taxes, like, I'm like the type of person when somebody starts talking to me about taxes, like, it just goes in the space in my brain that just never evolved. Like, it never,
Yeah,
like, it never came. So it's just like this black hole.
Of course.
But
And
there
I
are some
wanted
great people
to,
in Texas too. I mean,
yeah, of
NFT,
course.
the NFT attorney. I love Jacob Martin.
Uh,
His tax guide is also. I think you can still purchase it, and it comes with some good software to help people figure out how much they're going to owe. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
And Dan, I wanted to move ahead a bit from fundraising and ask you a bit about distribution. What are the plans there? I know you have very interesting idea of also kind of expanding beyond the film and allowing some of the interviews to live a bit longer on different platforms, and that's gonna be amazing. But also for the film itself, what are the plans for distribution, and especially in terms of traditional versus Web3 distribution?
Yeah, I think I've worked with a few. Yeah, I've worked with most of the streamers so far, and yeah, like they're really great at getting eyeballs on films, and they're really great at sort of marketing them. I think I mean, who knows in 8 months, but I think in today's world, that still has quite a bit of value. And I think part of the action of the film and what we're trying to do is to reach people who aren't already, in this Twitter spaces, who aren't already in the crypto sphere. And so I think that sort of does affect the priorities of where we want it to go. I the way it works now too is just like, especially in the States, it's very fast. Like once casts are announced and once projects are announced, then you do have like streamers floating around and potentially making offers, and we'll sort of see how that goes while we're in production. Um, but I also have experience going to a place like Sundance, and like it's incredible to be able to show up like to a film festival with like a film going audience and with your crew and with the subjects, and be able to like celebrate this thing all together. And there's something really special about that. So I don't know exactly which way it's going to go, but the plan is to get a traditional distributor on board, to reach it as wide of an audience as possible. Within that, though, I think that the work is to then also bring it into, the metaverse in a way that makes sense for that partner. I think that's the dance that we really want to do. Like, okay, cool. Like, you guys want to broadcast this or distribute it in the traditional sense. How can we also work in the Web3 crypto native sense, right? And lend some resources there. Because they
Yeah,
don't know that yet, and I think that could be part of the education in distributing a film like this.
of course.
Um, but metaverse screenings and stuff like that, I mean, like we have to make sure that the film is accessible and reachable to people who want to watch it anywhere. So there has to be this sort of Web3 rental accessibility component somehow, um, that makes that easy, so that it's not necessarily stuck to one sort of centralized distributor, right?
Yeah,
Just
100%.
just to
And
jump
also,
in, and can I just add something there,
of
guys?
course,
Oh, pick again. Thanks, Miguel. Yeah, I'm sure you all know this already, but Facebook, even though it's considered centralized, but Facebook Oculus Metaverse, it has picked up my film, and is a great metaverse distributor, because you gotta put the VR goggles on and you go into a metaverse and you're sitting in a 360-degree space, and you can move around and see the space and see all the cool stuff that's happening in it, and then at the same time you can watch your film on a gigantic screen in this space,
Mm,
and they offer a pretty good deal, and if you think about it, Oculus is like the Netflix of VR at the moment, so there are millions of viewers on there already. So I would just make sure you include them in your distribution deal, with your distributor, to make sure your distributor, pitches them as well. Because I'm just looking for films too. So if anybody else in the room is looking for more distribution for your films, then I would try them. They're hungry for films right now.
that's great. Meta is hungry for films.
Yeah, Meta. It's Meta, Facebook Meta Oculus. They do 6-month licensing deals, and I think they paid out 40K for us for that
That's
for every
great.
6 months.
That's great.
Is that a feature?
It's a feature documentary.
That is so cool. It's cool. It's really hard for me I mean, I'm so happy for you. 40K is awesome, but it's also really hard for me not to think about how hungry Meta is. Because, I mean, I feel like Facebook's eating the world. So,
Right,
but
right.
I tease at the same time, like, that's a hard line to like balance. But as a champion of filmmakers, and every time you get that kind of support, or you can take. I mean, we could talk about Netflix and how they undermine
Well,
filmmakers as well. So,
you got to put food on the
congratulations.
table.
Exactly, congratulations.
Thank you. And Netflix turned us down, right? So, so yeah, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, at least the film's in a metaverse, and now we're just hoping to work with folks in this room, you guys and other folks that are doing metaverse in the crypto space to screen the film and to figure out, what those models look like. So it's really cool. It's really exciting, but it's kind of like the stepping stone to our kind of crypto decentralized metaverse.
Yeah, and like and decentralized streaming and all of that. I'm very excited just like where all of that's headed, and what we can start to offer people there in terms of access. My first film, it's about the trans liberation movement in Puerto Rico, right? And I shot that over the course of like 3.5 years, and it's tricky because Netflix bought it. This is like back in 2017. Like they bought it globally for about 3.5 years, and it was everywhere. But now it's only like in certain places, and it's like like, and that's a piece of media that again it's sort of, it is documenting a very specific place and a very specific time, and is used in universities to also teach about trans liberation movements. So it's also, the imperative is that piece becomes accessible, right? Especially at this point that it's nearly it's 6 years later, 8 years later, and like it's more important that people have access to it than who holds it and what singular entity holds the rights, right? And I'm excited working towards a system where anybody can sort of sift through that library and access that film, and access whatever media that they're looking for, regardless of sort of what platform it lives on. And I do think that's where we're headed.
Yeah, 100%. And Jan, in terms of, because you were speaking about how on a traditional streamer more eyeballs could see the film, and that's great because you can onboard new people to the space. And so I was wondering, like how much is the film targeted towards NFT native people, and how much is it targeted to newbies? If there's a way to quantify that.
I mean, it's a good question, but I would also say like the overlap is like still like 65%, right? Like I feel like for like so many people in the NFT space, they're also noobs. Like, and I say that for myself also. It's like
Yeah.
I climbed in a year ago, and that's not long enough.
Yeah, but let me
so
put it another way.
No, I know which way you mean. I think though, I want to seduce people who haven't already been seduced, and I want people who are watching the film who are in the space to also be very in tune with the inside jokes and like the Easter eggs that are going to be there, right? Like, if we're developing this like animation sequence, that's involving very specific avatars, I want like our community to be like amped about what that ensemble of avatars looks like and to understand why they've been chosen, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way that I definitely want to build it. But again, sort of like I think that there's a lot of contextualizing and a lot of I guess mythologizing. I really like that word. That I feel like I want to do, that sort of sets the tone for the last year, and sort of like that time period that a lot of us entered.
Yeah, but let me put it another way. Are you gonna spend a few minutes of the film to say what an NFT is?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that answers my question. That and someone who doesn't even know what an NFT is can still watch it and learn a lot, and
Yeah,
that
definitely.
won't feel like he doesn't get anything.
Absolutely. But it's like really like those are the things that I'm also negotiating. Like the details of that are the things that I'm negotiating right now, right? Like 6 months ago, I was like, like Paris Hilton in an interstitial explaining what gas fees are. That would be amazing, right? Today, like I don't know if we need to talk about gas fees, because I don't know how relevant they're going to be in like 3 years' time, right? But blockchain and where blockchain started, that's relevant, and decentralization, that's relevant. So like right now, I'm like really sort of paring down what topics we are talking about, right? And how we're approaching the history of this emerging genre, right? Like it's like my team, like we're starting from like linear perspective in the Renaissance, right? Like there's always been this impulse to give the viewer a a bigger sense of enclosure in the artwork, to be more surrounded by the artwork. And that started with linear perspective, and now we have things like VR, and it makes sense when you start to put it that way. So those are things that I'd rather talk about than gas fees and sort of like the more hyper technical stuff. That was a bit of a ramble. Did that make sense?
Yeah, no, it did.
It did.
At least I'm like swimming. I'm in like the middle of the ocean right now with this. So
I thought it would be a good moment for me to reset the room. And I'm learning a lot of really new stuff today, and that's really cool considering, we've been having these conversations with so many amazing filmmakers like yourself for a year now. For those of you, and I see a lot of new people in here, and that is really cool. We're the NFT Filmmaker Squad, and we've been pioneering this ecosystem for just about a year now. We've been looking for each other, and we're finding each other, and it's a lot of fun to hear how everybody is trailblazing in their own unique way, because every time someone brings their innovative idea, it helps us all. If you don't know about our Discord, we're building the community there. It's in my link tree. And also, we just started a few weeks ago, Mondays with Miguel. The room I now like to call the OG room is on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And then we have Saturday matinees on at 2 p.m. Eastern time with Jason Charnick. We're psyched that you are here hanging out with us today. There's a couple other announcements I just want to make. Since my job as a community builder is to make sure that you know what's going on with the community, and that Miguel, his tea drop is happening on March 2nd, and we're going to do some fun things. And if you don't follow Miguel, please do. In fact, if you don't follow people in this room, please follow people in this room, because Web3 is really all about community, and it's not just the macro actions. You may not be able to collect one of Miguel's NFTs, but you might be able to retweet him, and you never know, that retweet might go to someone who gets eyes on that project, and they end up being able to buy that NFT. So I'm a big believer in micro and macro actions, especially as we are so early, and we are really trying to create an incredible new space for filmmakers and the way that we can live and have sustainable livings and do our art. So I think that's pretty much it, unless I've forgotten something, Miguel. Back to you guys. Thank you all so much for being here and for your time. And yeah.
Thank you, Jordan. And yeah, thank you everyone for coming. And yeah, since you brought it up, Jordan, I'll just do the very elevator pitch version of what we are doing with CryptoPunk, which, as you said, we're dropping the collection on March 2nd. And it's basically a feature film project that I've been working on for a few years that is based on a short film of the same title, CryptoPunk. And we ready to go. We want to shoot this summer. We have an amazing cast and crew attached to the film project, but we needed the funds to make it happen. And so we are fundraising those via an NFT collection of 2,400 NFTs created from the original short film, which we're dropping on our own website that you can see up here pinned on March 2nd. Come to the Discord if you want to keep updated. Yeah, I mean, ask any questions if you have them. But today we're spotlighting Dan, who told us about his groundbreaking NFT documentary project, which we can't wait to see and learn so much from, because all the OGs are going to be there dropping wisdom for sure. And I actually, Dan, you were talking about VR, and I wanted to bring up Bobby because he's been patiently waiting here since we started, and he asked me if he could come up. Basically, I don't know that much about them. I just learned that they are a VR production company here in Europe, and they just sold out an avatar project, which is this PFP that Bobby has. And apparently, Bobby tells me that all of the funds from those avatars that they've just sold out are going towards funding their own VR projects, which is very exciting. They do VR film. So, Bobby, hi, welcome. Please tell us a bit more about what you're doing.
Hey, Miguel. Thanks for having me. Hi, Jordan. Hi, Dan. Yeah, so I'm riding on some adrenaline right now and excitement as our project just sold out. We had a 7,777 piece PFP project. And
Congrats.
thanks, man. Like we started our mint on the 17th, and then it was a very slow start, and our community, so we sort of sold 425 of them, and we sort of were like worrying. And then today it got picked up by Pac, who retweeted it, and then it got into Nifty Alpha, and then it just sold out within like 10 minutes after it was on Nifty Alpha. And they were all in the chat saying, "Oh, what is this? Who's this team? Where is it from? Is it a rug? Is it a rug?" And then I'm like on the DMs like, "No, we're real. I'm in the team." And then they bring us up, and then the guy goes from, "I'm not going to mint this," to, "I'm minting 3." So we yeah, it was quite an incredible experience. Still riding on that excitement, but
okay, wait, I got to ask you a question.
go for it.
Is Margaret a part of your lore writing team?
Margaret, yes, she is. Yes.
Oh my God, she's been, she executive. Sorry, I get so excited. Margaret is a punk, by the way, one of the most lovely people you will ever meet. And she's been telling me about your project, well, for months, but I was so focused on mine. Oh my God, congratulations. I'm so happy
Jordan,
for you all.
it's cool. It do be like that. I was in the space in March last year, and I was so focused on trying to sell my photography that I was blind to the Bored Ape Yacht Club and Clubhouse, and I didn't do it. So it happens. But things happen for a reason, right? So yeah, about what we do. So we're a VR film production company based out of Turkey, and we have a in development film from Cannes last year that we're taking this year. So we make VR content, and we're producers of that content already. But we wanted to like enter the NFT space and sort of combine the two together with like Web3 and VR. And so our project sort of stemmed from that, and we got our creative team involved, and we created this PFP project, which then sort of we had the idea to have a VR game. So that's coming in June, and then you could play as your PFP character within the game. So that was the NFT side of things. But we had this like utility in the real world already that we wanted to bring more VR content to the world, because there's not enough. There wasn't enough films at Cannes last year. There wasn't like VR wasn't as popular until Meta changed their name to Meta, which sort of had this massive influx of people wanting to buy Oculus and sort of getting involved in the VR world. So yeah, it couldn't have happened at a better time, because we were holding events in Istanbul, and a few weeks before there was like 10, 20, 30 people arriving when Meta was released, and we held an event like a week after that. There was 2,500 people. We had to turn people away at the door because of the amount of people that were like arriving to the event. So there is a massive market, obviously, for VR content. And so with our sort of project, we wanted to be able to raise funds so we could bring up new VR film creators. So there is a part of our, a lot of the profits that we've made are going to go towards creating that content and offering grants. That's part of our roadmap, and we want more VR content out there. We've got a VR game as part of our roadmap for the community, but also we will be going to Cannes and Venice Film Festival, and we'll be sort of in the right places to, show that NFTs can be a way to, have a good foot in the door with creating content that can be consumed.
And I have a couple of questions. So,
yeah, go for it.
How does the VR content that you're gonna create with the funds from the PFP project relate to the PFPs on the one hand, and then also
Sorry,
how
I missed that, the first bit.
sorry, it's okay. How does the VR content that you're gonna create with the funds that you raised by selling the PFPs relate to the actual PFP collection that you sold out? Yeah. And then also how does it relate back to the holders as well? So like how is it considered utility
so
to them?
We want to create an IP around our project. We want to create, like, we've got, like Jordan said, we've got Margaret working on the law. We're going to have like a whole world created for this. We want to be able to create IP around this so that there will be a world that you can enter into. And that's just for the VR film content, whatever we create from that, but also the game. If you hold the NFT, you can have access to the game, which allows you to play to win. So you're having prizes of Oculus and ETH to be able to play to win in this VR game that we've been creating. How it ties back to, I guess, to the holders is that if you hold the NFT, you will also have the chance to come to these festivals as well. We will be holding events and going to festivals and offering to our community to come along and have all expenses paid trips to experience VR, like straight up, and also, you know, Oculus headsets too, and the HTC Vive as well. So that's how we've connected back to our community, and why that adds up, and why there's utility for the users, because we have that sort of established VR company that exists already, and that can bring people into that. And it's just a big onboarding process at the same time, which means that the more people get onboarded, there's going to be more content needed for them to consume. And so it just sort of marries itself nicely. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Well, congrats on selling out, and thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. I think
Yeah.
Dan has to leave soon, so Dan, thank you so much for. Sorry, Bobby, can we get back to you in a second? So I'll just say bye to Dan really quickly. Dan, thank you so much for coming. I don't know if you have any last words or last point that you wanna leave us with.
Ooh, that's a tough question, always. And you know, I would just say that I'm around to chat. Again, like my DMs are open. I'm very accessible. I'm in the NFT Film Squad Discord. And there's another Twitter account actually for the film. It's at Nifty the Film. If anybody wants to stay up to date on announcements, they'll be dropping in the next 3 weeks. We'll be making some pretty exciting announcements. So you can stay tuned there. And yeah, I'm around for any questions, and I encourage anybody who's sort of on the fence about hopping into the space to make that dive. And you know that this is a great group around. Miguel, Jordan, thank you so much. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you,
Very
Dan.
exciting. Yeah, very exciting stuff. Thank you so much for coming, Dan, and for all that you do to push the space forward. And we look forward to having you back here soon. And we look forward to your great announcement as well. Good luck with that.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Bye. So Bobby, sorry, back to you. You wanted to add something. Hello, Bobby.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What did you
Okay.
say? I do apologize.
No,
It's cutting out.
it's okay. Sorry. No, I thought that you wanted to add something before I moved to Dan.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah. So our project, like, I guess I'm so, like, how do I explain this? There's a lot of hype around at the moment with projects, and we tried to be as organic as we could in terms of our growth. So we only sold 425 of them the other day, and that was quite shocking based on the amount of sort of attention we had from our community. And so I just wanted to say that if, when it comes to raising like awareness to film and getting people in to projects and like sort of leading the way for filmmaking in the space, it just patience and the belief that it's going to work, and like just pure passion, I think got us through it. And then getting it in front of the right people, it takes time. And you know, it was only this morning we were thinking, oh no, what's going on? It's not going to happen, and then all of a sudden it's gone. So I know that because I used to be an actor, I've worked on sets, I've been in film, I've been part of experiences that, you know, the rug gets pulled on the film last minute because funds leave, or it just doesn't get made, or you know, stuff I've done before. Like I had these auditions for a PlayStation 4 game that was going to be made, and they created a whole set of videos for it, and then it just never got made. So there's always going to be the fear and uncertainty and doubt, the FUD, but I guess just sticking at it and being in the space and just connecting with people like this in the spaces, that's the only way forward. I think these Twitter spaces have allowed me and the team. I mean, I wouldn't have found the team if I hadn't have got Twitter Spaces. I got in touch with them and was like, I need to be a part of this. And it's just, do you know what I mean? Like, this is a great opportunity for filmmakers, because there's going to be so many like people coming in and being onboarded that you can show your work to, and you can cut out that middleman and the people that, you know, usually hold the gates and don't let you in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Mopik here too. Yeah, thanks, Bobby. It's really encouraging to hear you talk about, you know, just like not giving up hope, and you know, a lot of times these people, like we I don't know, a lot of us sometimes think that we need to have a big drop or a big lead up to a drop, and that works great too for some people, but it doesn't always have to be that way. And it's great to hear you talk about that. That I don't know if you had a big lead up to your drop, but it's just become an organic process. And I think it's important for folks in the room and for myself to just know we can just build this. We can drop it and just spread the word through these communities and bring people in that resonate with whatever it is that we're doing. So there's no pressure, kind of taking some of that pressure off. So I just appreciated you saying
Of
that.
course. Yeah.
And
We
also, Bobby, what I really like about your project is that even though it's an innovative project because of the element of VR, film, and all of that, you found a way to bring it in the fashion of this wave, which is PFP projects and avatars. So in a way, it's kind of acting like a Trojan horse, right? Whereas for projects like ours in Gallarita, it's a bit harder maybe to explain to people because they've never seen anything like this, right? A short film that is fractionalized in still frames, and then those still frames are used to fund a feature film that's, it's weird and it's innovative, but it's weird to them. So some people might not understand. In your case, because it's a PFP, they immediately get it. And so that's a cool idea because for me it's like a Trojan horse wherein an innovative, exciting new thing gets into the door because it feels like what we see every day.
For sure, man. But like you said, like it was a big lead up. We've been in the space 4.5 months, I think, and we were in the spaces every day, and we have been talking about projects and connecting, and then on the day of the mint, we sold 400. And Miguel, like initially when I messaged you, obviously you sort of were like, oh, what's this got to do with film? But that's how a lot of people, it's been the other way around. What's VR film got to do with NFTs? So there's been a lot of sort of until you have the conversation. That's the thing with our project, is like until you have the conversation with someone, they don't. It's really hard to understand because there's that sort of, it's a marrying of, I mean, it's both futuristic stuff. I mean, it's both Web3 and virtual reality. So they're two new concepts, but to sort of have them tied together and really explain what that's about, that's been, until people come in and listen to what that is, it does have sort of like a, people do have a bit of apprehension about that. But that's fine because that starts the conversation, and the conversation is the main thing. Like everything starts with a conversation, and if you can just get that conversation starting, then people then start to understand, and then they either like it or they don't. And it's, in this case, people have liked it, and I'm super stoked. So yeah, that's what I got to say.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you very much for coming and for telling us about it, and best of luck with the project and with your films coming from that. We are gonna keep a look on it, and yeah, it's exciting stuff. I think also Kelly wanted to share something about the project you're working on. Kelly,
Yeah, hi, Mopik here. Thanks,
go
Miguel.
ahead.
This is my first time sharing, so yeah, just want to preface with that.
No worries, go ahead.
So I'm a filmmaker, and I thought, how can I take some of my valuable footage that I've shot over the years that I own, 100% outright, and repurpose that footage to make a film that would be purpose driven, to do good, right? So I have this collection that has been sitting on Getty Images for 18 years. That is of a bunny, a guy in a bunny costume, and he runs around downtown LA and does crazy, silly things. And, this footage has sold for millions of dollars. And Getty, it's been in Super Bowl commercials. It's been all over. The footage has appeared all over the world in multiple languages and all kinds of things. And so I thought, this is really so there's something about this footage. So then I heard somebody had said, I was mentioning to a filmmaker that I work with, Steve Campanelli. I said, I want to do something with this bunny footage, and I want to make a difference somehow. And he said, oh, well, have you heard of Bad Bunny the rapper? And I hadn't, and so I looked up Bad Bunny. And Bad Bunny's story is that he was made to wear a bunny costume when he was like 10 or 11 years old, and it was the worst thing, and he felt bullied into it, and he hated it, so he ended up naming himself Bad Bunny, and that's where that story comes from. And I thought, oh, wait a second, we have a lot of problems with bullying, and my daughter just lost a friend to suicide because he was bullied. And I thought, shit, okay, let's do something with this. So what I've done is I've taken these 74 motion picture clips and I'm calling them mental health investment vehicles to raise the morale of kids and their families that have been victims of bullying. And so what I'm going to do is offer these up. And so each collector automatically adopts the role of a creative film producer and then becomes a member of the bunny's called OG Hops. So they become a member of the OG Hops DAO. So the OG Hops stands for Original Gangster Help Our People Succeed. Okay, and so it just gives the collector an opportunity to become part of the filmmaking process, so that we can come together in the metaverse to talk about how we can use these clips to help organizations like Crisis Center or Boys and Girls Club or Stigma Free Society. I've checked in with a whole bunch of organizations to see if we can help them out in this way. And so kind of bring in folks that are interested, collectors that are interested in being part of kind of, we call them PSAs, public service announcements, where we make little mini films to help bring a problem to the public and bring more awareness. So I'm kind of like working with this right now, you guys, and I'm actually, the drop is happening, I'm hoping pretty soon, because I wanted to drop it, I'm thinking Wednesday, February 23rd, because that's Anti-Bullying Day worldwide. And I'm just, still figuring out even how to put my Discord together because I'm so not technical. But this is the idea behind the idea of repurposing footage, offering it up to collectors, and creating a DAO that supports, a purpose-driven project. So if anybody has any comments on that or any advice or input, I would very much appreciate it, or any questions. Thank you.
That's an amazing project. I've never seen anything quite like it. Yeah, it's very exciting. Can I think I missed exactly what you were calling investment vehicle, something. What was it again?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to unmic. I call it mental health investment vehicles because,
Okay. I
like
mean,
mental health nowadays, especially moving into this information age, is something that I think we're all going to be struggling with. So,
yeah.
so rather than making money from this project, I mean, we would use the funding from the collectors to create these PSCs. Excuse me, to create these little films. So let's say there's 74 clips. We all get into a room, and somebody who has the footage of OG Hops on a skateboard and somebody who has the footage of OG Hops at the basketball could potentially work together and say, okay, well, maybe we should combine our clips to do something around getting outside and getting active. And it's just kind of ways that we can move the footage around, and re-edit and recut and reuse and repurpose this footage to make little clips that we can put on the organization's social media channels or on their website or whatever.
I think this is
Yeah.
really, really beautiful. Have you dropped any of this information in the NFT Film Squad Discord? Have you shared it?
No, Jordan, not at all, because I've just finished literally putting the website up yesterday. And so I have it. And so this is my first time sharing. I'm excited, though, about it.
That's wonderful, beautiful. Congratulations. And yeah, please, let us know about it with links and all of that in the Discord. And speaking of the Discord, I just have to jump in and say that someone told me that the link that was in my link tree was expired. It's now been updated. So, and if I saw some new people came through, but you didn't verify, go to the Start Here Now area so that all the channels will open up to you. I'm so excited for you, Kelly. This is really cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Kelly, can I just say, sorry, Kelly, can I just say, I would really, I mean, I like the idea, but I would really advise you to talk to a lawyer about that name, because even though it's a fun pun, it might be a problem to call it investment vehicles, even if it's preceded by, mental health.
Oh,
Because
okay, sure. That's a
it's
great
very
idea.
dangerous to call any token here in the space an investment vehicle.
Oh,
So even
yeah.
though it's ironic, I'm not sure that the SEC are gonna agree with that irony.
Right on, right on. Yeah, that's cool. I'm calling the because that's right, because it can be associated with the NFT once I sell it. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. And hi, Petra, GM. I see that you came up here. Welcome. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Um, yeah, no, I had a couple of questions actually. One was regarding distribution on Meta or Face. Um, I was wondering, if they put any kind of restrictions on that at all in terms of like exclusivity or how it was capped in terms of distribution. And the other thing I wanted to point out was about services like I think Republic was mentioned. There's also like Circle, I think, is a thing out there. Um, but I think the big key for me and for the projects I'm working on and for a lot of people in this space, I think a key benefit would be if we could get some of the unions onto those services just so that we could build contracts that would be interoperable, and then use oracles to gather up, gross revenue in the metaverse or whatever in order to build pools to service a CAM arrangement with them. I think there's some work being done in that space too, and I was wondering if anybody had any info or any impact on that. And I just generally want to call out anybody who is involved with the unions in any way in this industry that we really need to call them in. And that fiat ramp is a great way to do it. Anyway, yeah, so I was wondering about Face, because it is about being able to give as many venues or avenues to artists as possible. And I'm just curious as they sort of are beginning to enter into this space, if they're going to hold to that kind of ethic or not. But
Oh, who is the question for specifically, Petra?
I guess it's just in general, but if somebody had mentioned that they had got a distribution deal through Face, and I was just wondering because the weird thing is we talk about regulatory uncertainty in the United States, but the reality is that there are lawyers that can clarify this for people. It's an onboarding issue, but the money is going into these large organizations. They have clarity. They're investing their funds. They know what they're doing with it, and um, yeah, I think it's important that we all share in that as we all enter into this space. Um, but yeah, so I'm just curious how they're managing it.
All I know from my experience is that we got a wonderful distributor out of London, the UK, that had this connection with Meta, and I guess she had mentioned that they're looking for films too, so the timing was really good for us, and that's how we picked up our distribution deal with them. And like I said, it's a 6-month licensing deal. I don't really know much else though in that regard, just that, they just did their job to get us that licensing deal. And I think it's
As
pretty much
far
the
as
same as most deals.
exclusivity,
Sorry.
sorry, as far as exclusivity or what were the distribution caps, or just 6 months time period for them with a non-exclusive right to distribute on Meta or something?
Yeah, so it's just on the Oculus 2. So if you have Oculus 2, you can go in and just click on our film and you enter the home. They built like this really cool home on top of a mountain with hot air balloons around and palm trees, beautiful view, and you can sit and watch our film. But so it would be, I don't think it's exclusive. I think that this is just the one licensing deal. I believe they're all non-exclusive because that's the agreement that I have with my distribution company. So I believe that my film would be able to be shown on other metaverse platforms. We always try to.
I was curious about that too, and thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
I'll get into.
Cool. Thank you for the question. I'm not sure I can answer the second question about the unions. If anyone wants to jump in on that,
Oh, I can answer
please
that
do.
too.
Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
the union, great idea. I think that with wanting to involve union members, it's just a matter of requesting from the union that they send out a little newsletter around, because that's how they communicate with the members, is through newsletters, and just to share. Also, there's the Canadian Society of Cinematographers. I'm a member of the CSC, and so there's there's a lot of, there's the Facebook group, and there's different groups. So yeah, just kind of spreading the word through the industry in those ways is a great idea. Just to ask for support. Like, I'm going to try that with OG Hops to see if any of the members that I've worked with, for years and years would want to come in, learn more about the NFT space, and invest in OG Hops. So yeah, that's a great suggestion that we shouldn't forget about.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if did anyone else wanna come up or ask any questions or tell us about anything that they're working on. I see a few familiar faces here. Jason from Frico. How are you, Chase? If anyone wants to jump in, please do. Or
Miguel, I do
yeah,
have one other question for the audience. Just
of course.
thank you for help. One of the things that I'm trying to decide on, amongst many, and I'm sure Jordan and Miguel, we all deal with this. But anyway, one of the main things is I'm trying to decide whether to launch this as a reveal opportunity, where I would just put an image of OG Hops on OpenSea, only an image, but you wouldn't know which footage is behind that image until you purchased it. Or if I do the individual clips, so you can actually see the individual clips, the footage that you would be purchasing. Does anybody have any insight or intuitive feelings around it?
I have a couple follow-up questions before I can answer. If it's a reveal and you're saying this is an OpenSea, then where is the footage?
Right. So that's what I'm trying to figure out too. If I create the smart contract on Manifold, or you know what I mean, then it would be directly on the blockchain through Manifold on the Ethereum blockchain.
Yeah, but the problem is if the main media that the NFT is displaying is an image, then you can have a video somewhere else in the NFT. And I'm not a dev, I'm not that technical, but so I don't know that much about it. But what I know is that OpenSea won't show you both. So the only solution you will have is to have the clip as a unlockable content, which I don't think is what you want in your case. So that might be a problem. If you want it to be a reveal because you want it to be kind of random which clip you get, then I don't think you can sell it through OpenSea. I think you need to sell through your own smart contract and have that randomized.
I was going to actually
before.
say that Jason should come up. And look, Jason came up. Do you have some thoughts on this, Jason? Jason. Uh-oh.
Hi, I do. I'm undangling my my wired headphones. So talk amongst yourselves for about 15 more seconds.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Is that an option, Kelly, to have your own minting site?
At the moment, I'm trying to keep everything as simple as possible without taking any on additional costs of hiring a dev or anything like that. So I was just, poking around for your knowledge here in the room around a way to be able to provide that option if it's possible.
You could. There's a way you could do it, which is you could update the metadata. So you could mint all the NFTs with a placeholder image via Manifold, sell them on OpenSea, and what you see is just a placeholder, and then update the metadata later. But I don't think that in that case, I think the randomness would be kind of corrupted. So everyone would need to trust you about the randomness. Because essentially, once you're updating the metadata, it's up to you to say which clip goes to which token. So you get what I mean? That the holders need to trust you, that you didn't decide to give the best ones to your friends or something like that.
Right. Got it. Yeah. Okay. Jason, what do you think?
Hi. So yes, so I'm in the middle of exactly this right now with my project as well. I'm going to be minting on Manifold. Manifold is the easiest, just to get that base smart contract out there and on the chain. Manifold it's free other than the gas. I think it cost me a total of 0.04 ETH when I did my first one a couple of weeks ago. And I'm working on a tutorial for it that I'm going to throw up on YouTube soon. I think I'm going to do that later on today. But with the Miguel is right. So you can update the metadata. So when you mint an NFT through Manifold, you have a few different options. You can either upload the media file through them directly, and their max file size is 200 megabytes. They will, when you mint the NFT, they upload. Sorry, go ahead, Miguel. What's that?
Let me just correct you 1 second. The
Sure.
max file by default is 200, but if you email them, they will increase that to at least 500 pretty quickly, in my experience.
There you go. And I actually have a solution for that. So that's a good tip to have them do it. That's a great tip, actually. So what I'm doing is, so like when you mint through Manifold, it will upload the metadata to Arweave, and it'll upload the file if you're going through them to Arweave as well for like permanent decentralized file storage. And you can update that metadata like Miguel was saying. So like if you wanted to do a reveal, you could do something like that and update the metadata to point to a different file and do it that way. But like he said, you could sometimes, I don't know, collectors don't like to have metadata changed. They don't, I want to lock it in. So like you could just as easily switch it to a picture of somebody with a middle finger saying, "Ha ha, we screwed you." So people are like a little bit on, they're a little bit hands off on that sort of thing. But I'm sure once you explain who you are and that your project is legitimate, people will learn that it's like a real thing, so they don't really mind. But the point that I really want to try and make, when I'm doing my things through Manifold, anything that might be over the file size limit, you can upload to IPFS directly through Pinata. They're a pinning service. It's basically just an upload service to IPFS, and you can upload the file to IPFS through them. You have a gigabyte free, and then it's like $20 a month. I think I'm just going to pay it for my project. But you upload the file to IPFS directly. You get a URI or URL basically that you can put into the properties of the token that you mint through Manifold, and then there's no file size problems at all. Like I think 25 gigabytes, you can fit a whole Blu-ray disc on there if you had to. So if you have file size considerations, you can upload directly through Pinata and use that URL in your NFT mint through Manifold. It's easy. It's great. I'm here to help anyone. If anyone needs help with it, I'm going to do some tutorials on it as well. It's just gold. It's the way to go for my project, and it might be for yours as well.
I recommend it also, but I have a question, Jason. What happens once you stop paying Pinata in 6 months?
That's a great question, and that's the one that I actually put in their Discord, and you just reminded me that I don't know if they ever answered me. So I'm going to hop into their Discord after the show and see if they ever answered me, because I think they explained to me once, like, once it's pinned there, it's there. But yes, like if I stopped paying them the $20 monthly, like what do they do with it? I don't have an answer to that yet. I hope the answer is the one that I'm looking for, but we'll find out soon, and I will report back.
Yeah, I'm also pretty sure that that's the case, but I also want confirmation.
Absolutely.
Wow, thanks so much, Jason. That is gold, and because that's a cool workaround. I'm not sure I completely understand it all. So when are you going to put that tutorial out so I can really?
I'm going to start working on it today, but you can always drop me a DM. I am here to be everybody's, let you guys be the fantastic creators and artists and filmmakers that you all are. And the tech side has always come easy to me, not like the super tech side, but the like uploading files and compressing files side. So I'm here to be a resource for anybody that needs help. I'm happy to get these answers, while you guys are out creating and doing things, because this is the stuff that I'm interested in.
I would love it if you asked him that question in the Discord rather than a private DM, because then everyone in the community benefits from that. Jason has his own channel too in the Discord or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I would love that because we all get to read and learn.
Yeah, thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
I see that we have a couple hands up. So I just wanted to ask Petra and Brushes and Stans, if any of you guys, if your contributions like pertain to this last point directly, or otherwise, that's okay. But just wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Not mine.
Okay, so then
I just wanted to add on to that the idea, that always, especially in the blockchain space, less is more. But you just have to consider, what is the utility of adding that function? And I think actually kind of Miguel already spoke to the idea that having updatable dynamic metadata is a thing that you can accomplish on chain and in the NFT space. Jason's got it. We'll have a tutorial to help people navigate that. It is possible to randomly generate the metadata at mint, and you can do a reveal, but you can't do both. Basically, is kind of how it works unless you have more than one contract. And there are ways to set that up, but it's like that adds to the complexity and the attack surface and a whole bunch of reasons why there's a preference there that has to be decided. And in the market, I mean, it depends on what the utility of the token is. If the token itself is ownership of the material of the art, then that's going to appeal probably at this stage in the chain towards putting your assets on chain directly. But if there's some additional utility to your token and it's actually about participatory connection between the holders of the NFT and the producers of the media, then you're already going to get some benefit directly out of the association with the media. So randomicity and scarcity tactics and arbitrage might not be as big of a consideration.
Yeah, that's a great
Thank
point.
you.
Thank you. And President Stans, hi, how are you?
Hey guys,
welcome.
well, thanks for having me. I was really just jumping in to say hi and introduce myself. I've not met anybody else from the sort of film industry since I've joined this space, so I was just jumping in to say hi. I'm a professional stuntman, so I have a slightly different take on the industry, and I'm only just getting into NFTs really. So anyway, I was just happy to meet you guys, and I joined your Discord, and yeah, looking forward to seeing what you guys create.
Great, welcome. Happy to have you, and thanks for coming. Be sure to come to the Discord of the NFT filmmaking squad that you can find on Jordan's profile, because that's where the whole community of NFT filmmakers, legends meet. So we'll be happy to have you there. And Bobby, I think you raised your hand.
Oh, not me.
I was waiting to brush it. I think I pressed the wrong one.
Oh, all right, that's okay. Then I think Nick had his hand up. Hi, Nick. How are you? Jim.
Hey guys, how we doing today? It's really cool to, like Brush was saying, to be a filmmaker and to come into a space where other people are making films and doing their thing. I'll step down. I just had a quick question. I'm trying to join the Discord server, but it's I'm having a little bit of difficulty. So I sent Jason a DM on Discord. So if somebody can help me out, that'd be great. And great to meet everybody. And glad to be here.
It might be because there was an old link, when I first put that link out on my link tree, it was like forever, but I guess it wasn't forever. They changed that. So now try, if you want to try again, and then make sure once you're in, you go to the start here rules, whatever channel, and you can verify through that channel, and then the rest of the channels will open up.
Perfect. Yeah. I'm just trying to verify. I got to that point. I clicked on the little the film strip, but nothing's doing anything for me. So
thank you. Let me go check it out. Not that I set up this Discord, but let me go find out.
I'm in the same spot, actually.
Thing, so.
All right, guys. Thank you for telling me. It's clear that I need a community manager.
Hi, Echo. How are you? Welcome. I still have your hand up.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, good. Thank you. Welcome.
So I'm a filmmaker in real life, but I separate my crypto endeavors with my film stuff. But I think one of the things I wanted to talk about, which I don't think a lot of people are really paying attention to, is the fact that a lot of these companies are doing partnerships with generative art projects. So obviously we've seen Bayne, there's talks that there'll be like an animated show coming out, and I've seen smaller projects with like 30,000 followers get approached by the film and TV acquisition side of time and doing these deals. And I just wanted to see what was everybody's insight on that, if they know about that, and if anybody here is, I think Bobby did a generative project, which is really cool. But the opportunity available for filmmakers in that sector when it comes to like animation and generative projects.
Sorry, I'm not sure I got your question because the sound quality wasn't great. There was a lot of background noise. Did anyone else hear the question? Echo, could you please repeat your question?
Yeah, so basically my question was if anybody had any insight on what Time is doing with these generative projects where they're basically approaching them and doing these animation deals.
He's talking
Ta-
about Robotos and Toy Boogers and
oh yeah,
Smiles.
Time Magazine.
Yeah, Time Magazine and Smiles. I think those are the three that they're doing right now, the generative projects. It's a shame Ashira's not in here because she's involved in at least two of those. Oh, all
Hmm.
three of them. Actually, no, two of them. You can go to the Smiles Discord. You might be able to figure that out. Bobby, did you have a?
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you so much for having me, Jordan and Miguel. I have to dip out because we're having a celebration party. But Jordan, I'd love to speak with you again. I'd love to talk about like film. I don't get in many film spaces because I'm usually in our Future One or photography because I do photography. So would love to come in and listen to your knowledge and
It's great. I'm so excited for you guys, Bobby. You're getting rugged a little bit, but let me just say that we're very happy for you. And we're here Mondays with Miguel, Wednesdays with me and the OG crew, and Saturday matinees. So you're welcome to come check out any of those. They're all awesome rooms.
I love that you call it matinees. I come from the land of theatre. I trained in theatre, so yeah, love it that you call it a matinee. I'll be there.
Thank you. And Jairo, I see you have your hand up.
Hi there. Hi guys. Thank you so much for letting me talk here a little bit. This is my first time here at the NFT Film Squad, and I think it's pretty great. Actually, I'm a filmmaker from Brazil. I've been creating some NFTs, video arts for the last, I think, 5 months now, but they are mostly short animation videos. Um, my question is actually for everybody here, because I don't know if this is a subject that somebody has already tackled on, but my question is, how do you guys see how emerging countries, emerging markets like the ones here from Brazil or from South America or third world countries could apply to film funding on these NFT platforms? Because I've been researching a lot regarding ways of film financing, and the impression that we have around here in Brazil, and I've been talking with some fellow filmmakers, is that I think that the market itself might replicate the way the film market already is established by kind of prioritizing English speaking films, or sometimes films that the filmmaker has already got a highly extensive curriculum, and we think that we might still have filmmaking and film financing stuck in North America and in Europe because of the higher percentage of investment around these countries. So my question is mostly, how do you guys see a way of third world countries and third world filmmakers applying to more film financing by using NFT and blockchain? If there's a way that we can make this something that can be globally established for everyone
I think
in a very
I think
democratic.
I think Miguel, you should jump in on this, and then I want to round it out with some ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I think the blockchain has no barriers and no frontiers, so it's it's the perfect scenario for what you're describing to happen. I'm a filmmaker from Spain doing a film in Spanish and Catalan about Latin American woman struggling with class and racial issues, and we are hoping to be the first European film ever financed this way. And I don't have a huge curriculum or huge following before I started this project. So, I say that, I mean, and we are a few weeks early to be able to say this, but if we succeed and we're able to raise the funding for Calladita this way, then, I say if we can do it, then anyone can. And that's kind of my hope. And that's also why we will be open sourcing everything and encouraging, filmmakers from any corner of the world to copy our model and greenlight themselves via the power of the blockchain. And to be honest, I'm here all day on NFT Twitter, hanging out in spaces, talking to hundreds of people, and I never know where they are. It's true that there is a language barrier, but to me that's the main language. The main barrier is language. So if you are in the Philippines and you don't speak English, then that's a problem. But if you speak English, then I think that there are very few barriers here in this space because nobody knows where people are. I literally don't know where 80% of the people that I interact with daily are based or are from, and I don't care. I think that's one of the beauties of it. Jordan, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'd love to add something, but also I'm always really inspired by the way you can be very precise, and I think a lot of it is because, well, obviously you know what you're doing, and I'm going to lean in on on you a lot with my feature film coming. Um, but you've been able to discuss a lot of these things with lawyers and accountants and other people in a couple of different countries. So I think you have this incredible insight that's going to be so wonderful when you're open sourcing all of this. To speak to the question, um, I think that right now what you see with Spanish language rooms and spaces and Spanish or Latin American oriented artists, you're seeing it come more and more and more. And I have an eye on it even before I met Miguel because I lived my life between Brooklyn and Madrid for a decade, and my next three projects are all in Spanish. So it's in many ways, um, I think, important for me to help encourage the space of the Spanish speaking world to understand NFTs and to be onboarding them and things like that. So I agree with Miguel that I don't think that there's a barrier here for you. You can, Miguel's model for his feature film is amazing. If you take a look at what I did when I minted my short motion picture, I think it was a really good strategy. You can take a look at that. Then I can't decide which of my projects, quite frankly, are going to be the next one that I roll out. But all of them, happen to have Spanish talent attached to them. But that's because I know, much like you said, if you don't have a lot of cachet you know, in Hollywood or whatever, then you have to figure out a way to make it somewhat bankable. But if you can find a way to do some fundraising here with NFTs. And we also have had incredible conversations about Web3 distribution. I think this world is open to all of us. But I would encourage you to find all the Spanish speaking or Portuguese speaking um, um, spaces and artists, and you start to build that community. I know I'm going to be a part of trying to build that in the film world.
Oh yeah, I kind of agree with you guys, but I disagree with some points actually because I've talked with some producers last week, and unfortunately, people still think that in Brazil they speak Spanish, but we speak Portuguese. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that Ethereum is a real expensive coin and crypto to apply to, and here, mostly in Latin America and South America, people have been using Tezos, for instance. But the amount of money you can use with Tezos funding wouldn't be enough to cover a whole expense or feature film, for example. So it's different when you. That's what I'm trying to explain. That I think that sometimes if you're doing something and you're more American market friendly or European market friendly, you might get more chances if you're applying with a cryptocurrency that is more, how can I say, more profitable in a sense. But
I
anyway,
don't.
what I really
I think you
and
limit
what
yourself. I think you're limiting yourself in your own mind. And I hear what you're saying, but if I thought
no,
that
no,
I would
I'm sorry.
do,
I'm not limiting myself. I'm just trying to explain to you guys what we see now because I mean, I've seen a lot of filmmakers outside Brazil that I mean, you guys do amazing things outside. But what I'm trying to explain is crowdfunding as a whole. When people used to use crowdfunding for feature films, for example, worked at the American market. It didn't work here in Brazil because the regular person that would apply for a crowdfunding campaign here wouldn't have enough cash to invest in the film. So what I'm trying to explain is that I agree with you when you said, oh, you need to find a way of stirring up the community, and that's what we're trying right now. This is pretty cool what we're doing right now, because unfortunately now in Brazil people have been treating NFTs as a joke, as a scam, as a
But
bubble. But
I
this is
think
just a moment, And so we've
I
been trying to figure out ways of creating union here and rising the community as a whole. So I think that that's the best thing I've learned today here, is that we
but I
really need
think
to. Yeah. Okay, Miguel.
Jairo, I understand what you're saying, but where I think you're wrong is that this is completely different from what Kickstarter used to be up until today, and it's different in the sense. So look, for the short film Calladita, I funded that through Kickstarter, and I raised 30,000 euros to make that short film. 90% of that money came from my network, people that I knew, that knew me, knew my work, and were fans of my work. Now I'm trying to raise €1 million more or less through the NFTs to make the feature. 99% of that is gonna come from people who had never heard of me 2 months ago, who are not from my network, who are not from Spain, who might not even know that I'm from Spain. They're people from the NFT community who believe in the future of Web3 cinema and who want to support this pioneering project. So what I'm saying is, if I was from Brazil or from Ecuador, I might have been able to do something very similar. And maybe I'm blind and it's just my privilege talking. But I'm still in a less privileged position in that regard to someone from LA. And I'm still kind of doing it. And nobody is questioning the fact that I'm not in the States. So then that's weird. Like where people are from is not even a conversation here in NFT Twitter, as far as I've seen. And actually there are people from Latin America who have projects similar to ours. For example, Gino, who has been in our rooms a few times. He's from, I forget the exact country now, but he has a project that is a documentary project all around Latin America to empower native communities. And he's fundraising that with NFTs, and I'm sure it's gonna be successful and amazing. Because again, that's like we've not been, and so when you say if a filmmaker from Brazil is trying to do this, it's not gonna work out because Ethereum is too expensive. My point would be, it's not going to work out if they think that they need to raise from their communities, because that's not going to work. If I was targeting my own fandom in order to do this, I can guarantee that I would fail. None of my friends know what NFTs are. It's impossible to onboard them and to raise through that. You're going to join the NFT community and target the NFT community, which is an international community with no borders. That's kind of what I'm saying.
That's you said it once again much better. That's some of it is really to me a philosophy, and that's what I mean by that. I know that we normally go a couple of hours, and we got an early start today so that we could have Dan Sickles in, and this is Miguel's room. But I do want to say that if you have some, I know Miguel's got to someplace he has to be as well because his drop is coming, and so to his point, he is doing space after space after space to make sure that people know who he is. But before I hand it over to Miguel to do what he wants with this room, I want to say that please check the Discord. If you had come through, I manually verified, I think. And hopefully you guys that the channels have opened up for you. If they have not, please DM me on Twitter. And just a last little set of the room for those of you who don't know who we are. The NFT Filmmaker Squad has been meeting for 1 year every week on Wednesdays, and we will be here this Wednesday. And we just expanded to Mondays with Miguel and Saturday matinees with Jason Charnick. So super psyched that you guys came through on this conversation today. And look forward to seeing you help us carve out space for filmmakers in this ecosystem. It moves fast, and we need all your incredible talent to help innovate the space. So Miguel, thank you. I'm going to hand it over to you and the hands that are up, and you can take it home.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I do need to go very soon, but I just want to give the last word to Christina, who hasn't had the chance to speak yet, and then we will wrap it up.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, so I will say two things, or maybe three. Again, a super informative space. Thank you very much for holding it. For Jairo, I want to tell you, I feel you because I felt very similar when I first find a year ago about Jordan doing these spaces. I felt like it is maybe for Americans, but I'm as from Eastern Europe, should be lucky that I even did some of my movies already. And basically, I haven't believed in myself yet. But for me, it's very hope giving, if I can say like this. When I see Jordan or Miguel, how they are doing with the project, and it's absolute true what they are saying. So don't be afraid, because it's really you must dive into the NFT community more and see their example. And I feel like it will be even more focus on NFT film this year. So I think it's a good time to go in now. Yeah. And third thing I wanted to say, guys, there's new possibilities in the NFT metaverse space, crypto space where we are. Last week, I was in a festival, Searchlight or Search NFTs is called, where were shown short films. It was more than as it would be dramaturgical movies, more like video art types, yeah. But they were shown on 360 domes in a metaverse where we entered preferably in VR headsets. So I think you can imagine how strong it is watching a movie video art in 360 environment in a VR headset. So this may be just as like one of the possibilities we have now for you to think about, and maybe you will be preparing some project like this because I felt in love with it. I was these options. How could in a real life build 360 dome with perfect screen is very difficult, and in a metaverse is achievable, and it's new experiences for viewers as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that. And I think we need to wrap it up here. But thanks a lot, everyone, for coming. This was a great space, as always. And thanks to Jordan for allowing me to host it. And yeah, if you're interested in my project Creadita, then follow me and come to the Discord and ask any questions. My DMs are open. And anyways, we'll see you here tomorrow. Next week, and also on Wednesday on Jordan Spaces with the NFT Film Squad. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Miguel. Everyone have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye.
Ciao.